It was a crisp autumn morning when the infamous Karen and her HOA crew attempted yet another audacious stunt. This time, slamming her SUV directly into the sheriff's truck that was parked innocuously on my ranch driveway. According to her warped logic, she was exercising authority over what she considered community space, a concept so divorced from reality that it bordered on comedic tragedy. I had been monitoring the property remotely via my surveillance system, which had multiple high-resolution cameras, motion detectors, and automated alerts tied into the security system. As I sipped my morning coffee on the porch, I saw Karen revving her red SUV, hands gripping the steering wheel with a force that suggested both determination and panic. Brent and Donut were in the back, filming the event on their phones, oblivious to the unfolding disaster that they had volunteered themselves into. The sheriff's truck, which was legally parked on my property, had sensors connected to my security grid. As Karen attempted to accelerate toward it, the automated system engaged remote vehicle locks and motion deterrent systems, causing her SUV to lurch unpredictably. Tires spun in place, mud flying, and the vehicle eventually came to a grinding halt just inches from the truck, which had been secured with automated reinforced parking restraints. Karen shouted incoherently, waving her arms, as Brent tripped over a hose lying across the driveway, colliding into Donut, who had leaned too far out the window trying to direct her. The SUV's horn blared continuously, triggered by my security system, creating a cacophony that drowned out their protests. Donut, in a panic, attempted to exit the vehicle, only to be sprayed by the motion-activated sprinklers I had installed along the driveway perimeter. A harmless but thoroughly humiliating deterrent. Brent, now soaked and slipping on the wet concrete, attempted to push the vehicle manually, while Karen repeatedly screamed into her phone, calling imaginary authorities to enforce her rights. I watched calmly, knowing the sheriff was already en route after receiving automatic alerts from my surveillance grid. Titan, my loyal K9, appeared from the side gate, tail low but alert, circling the SUV menacingly. The volunteers froze in fear, unsure of whether to confront him or retreat. Karen finally attempted to reverse, only to activate the embedded driveway bollards I had installed. They rose quietly and firmly, trapping her vehicle in place, and she realized too late that she was physically immobilized. By this point, the sheriff arrived, along with backup officers, who were greeted by a scene that looked straight out of a comedy of errors. A red SUV pinned, Karen flailing, Brent soaking wet and trying to salvage his dignity, and Donut sprawled across the driveway muttering apologies and incoherent excuses. The officers quickly assessed the situation, issuing citations for reckless endangerment, property damage, trespassing, and obstruction of law enforcement. Karen's protests were futile. Cameras had recorded every humiliating moment, documenting not only her intent but also her ineptitude. I activated the final safeguard, remote override of all locks and automated restraining systems, ensuring no further movement of vehicles or attempts to tamper with property could succeed. Karen screamed in frustration, realizing that her plan had backfired spectacularly, while Brent and Donut were left soaked, humiliated, and defeated. I walked onto the porch, Titan at my side, surveying the scene with satisfaction. The lawn was undamaged, the sheriff's truck unscathed, and the HOA's reputation for competence utterly destroyed. Local neighbors had already begun commenting on the incident, and by the end of the day, Karen's ill-fated attempt had become the talk of the county, further cementing her legacy as the most incompetent and overconfident HOA member in history. From my vantage point, sipping coffee and watching the sun set over the rolling fields, I reflected on the truth that had become painfully clear over the years. No matter how audacious Karen, Brent, or Donut became, any attempt to assert authority over my ranch would always meet with overwhelming preparation, flawless execution, and public humiliation, leaving the HOA entirely powerless and exposing their ineptitude for all to see. Titan barked softly, tail wagging, as if to remind me that while the day had been chaotic, the ranch remained sovereign, secure, and untouchable, and anyone foolish enough to challenge that sovereignty would always regret it.